My name's Kellyanne Flynn, and I'm going to take a step back, way back to one of the best music eras ever. I am joined by the most influential DJs. I'm so grateful they're doing this with me. And we're going to take us back to the 90s, find out what it was all about. And I'm joined here with the amazing Gleave Dobbin.
Hello.
Hello, Gleave. And again, thank you so much. I'm just so grateful that we're going to be able to share to this generation what it was like in the 90s. So I just want to ask you, Gleave and I are friends, by the way. I've followed his music for a very, very long time. And I want to ask you, what was the most influential, euphoric moment for you in the 90s?
For me, it was hearing the early rave tracks. I was a hip hop DJ whenever I was at school. But just before the whole kind of rave thing hit Northern Ireland, 88, 89 kind of time, I was kind of playing hip hop, but all these kind of rave songs were filtering through. My brother Mark and Robbie Nelson had a record shop in the town called Sounds Good Music, and I used to go down there after school and just stay after the shop shut and mix and stuff like that. But it was about all these new rave records that were coming in, because it was hip hop and it was like funk and it was soul. It was like soul to soul was big, and all the kind of hip house things, and then it started evolving into the kind of early rave stuff. So that was the big thing for me now. But like I thought it was just going to be like a passing fad, the way Skins were, or rockers, or punks, or mods, and I thought it would have just kind of fizzled out. But here we are after decades of dance music, and it's great.
And oh my God, and what years of music you have brought. You did win a mixing contest, didn't you?
This here up here, 1991. That's it. I was still at school. So it was, and again, that's what I was talking about. That is predominantly a hip hop competition. It's a turntablism worldwide competition, and I won the Northern Ireland heat, and then went to compete at Gold Diggers in Chippenham in 1991, and they just didn't get me, because it was a hip hop competition, but I was kind of playing like DJ H featuring Steffi and housey things that were coming in, and they didn't really get the whole mix crossover from hip hop into dance music. So after that, I kind of just decided then it was straight out dance music and the early rave stuff.
That was actually what I was going to ask you. So when you did that transition, was that you then? You were home?
That was it. I just felt at home with the whole music thing then. It just made sense for me. And then I applied the kind of hip hop DJ skills that I learned playing hip hop, and applied that to kind of rave stuff, like, so.
Brilliant. So Circus was a big all nighttime rave.
Yes.
In the early 90s.
Yes, in Banbridge.
Yeah. The music there was absolutely euphoric, and especially at those times with the Troubles, it wasn't just a generation of music. It's like bringing people together, wasn't it?
It was crazy. It was mental. It was Northern Ireland's, first all-nighter outside Belfast. You had Tokyo Joe's in Belfast that run the Glen Malloy played at. He was resident at that. But it was the first kind of outside. I think there might have been the Matinee Club in Bangor, but that was before my time. That would have been a Mark question. But yeah, it was something else. It was amazing. And to get to play there on, like, back then, if you think about it, 1991, it had a fantastic sound system. The thing was just set up perfect for it. It was a sound system to die for, and it was just groundbreaking. The music you got to play in there, it was just open. You could just do whatever you wanted, as long as it was underground. You know what I mean? We were totally against the commercial clubs at that stage, like.
And it was just absolutely every tune was
God! I got the warm up for Carl Cox a couple of times, and Sunscreen played live, and Zero B and Trevor Fung, and just all original DJs. That, Tricks, Welly, them all. There was so many.
And I'd say there would have been many highlights for you through the 90s, because you started off in Haggerty's, wasn't it?
Well, no, Circus. I would have started.
Started off in Circus.
Yeah. Before that, it was like one-off illegal raves and barns and stuff like that, and the mountains there, and all over the place. And then I got to play at a night called Earth, that was in the Ulster Hall that I shouldn't even been on lineup, and then I got to play at the art college, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. We done a night called Lego at the art college. It was fantastic back in the day, like, because I used to sneak into Sugar Sweet to hear Homer McCready and go to the choice nights and the one where nice. Yeah, so that's where I kind of got my eyes open to the whole thing, like.
And then, so you went from your parents actually opened the club, didn't it?
Well, they owned a bar in the town, and then they took on a hotel called Quarterhouse Hotel. And at that stage, my brother Mark, he was DJing in the Met before Robbie. That was the early 90s. And then we went to them and says, round about 93, we says, how many weddings have you in next year? And they went, with this many. And we went, well, we can pack it out every Friday and Saturday night if you want. So, yeah, so that was the beginning of that. That would have been 94.
94.
So, 94. And I was in Hegarty's at the time. So we started a Friday night in Cowater that was just a dance night. And the Saturday night was a more commercial kind of, we thought it was going to, and it just ended up there. And the Friday night was like full on dance. And then Saturday night we done a house-year thing in it, you know, and I left Hegarty's in, I think about 95 maybe.
Class.
Yeah.
And see, Cowater at the time, what would have been the capacity, just to give like any viewers the idea, the generation that doesn't really understand it, like there was hundreds, there was coaches from Belfast, from everywhere.
Yeah, you could have been looking at maybe like 1,000 plus every Friday night, 1,500.
And you were guaranteed.
Well, you see, you had the club, and then you had the back function room, and then you just the whole place just opened up as a complex. You know, it was it was something else.
It really was something else. And when you think, you know, the generation of people that went to it, you know, because there was the heightened, there was the troubles. It was just dance music just brought everybody together.
It totally did. It totally did. And you know, nobody could have predicted that or seen that coming. You know, nobody sitting and storming would have went, oh yeah, let's get all the ravers to join together and for peace and harmony. But it actually did in the background, and they never kind of seen it coming. You know, which was brilliant, because you had people maybe a couple of years ago fighting on the street or doing somebody over or throwing stones or whatever, like, and or fighting in football matches, and it all just kind of came together. And,
you know, everybody was, you know, there was,
didn't matter where you were from.
No. And you know, you had friends from both sides where that was unheard of, really.
Oh, honey, no. You know? Years ago, before that, you were told not to speak to somebody from a certain area.
Yeah.
Like, that was just all out the window. It was all about the music, the dancing, and the partying.
And I have been absolutely obsessed from I come in here with the amount of vinyls that you have. Holy moly. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah, and I've probably got rid of loads of them, like, you know, but yeah, no, it's mental. My wife warned me not to be bringing any vinyl home. It all has to go one way out the door. I can't come in anymore, so.
And how do you feel with the transition with the not so many vinyls now? You wouldn't be a lover of it, I would imagine.
Oh, no, I still love playing vinyl, but to me, if you're going to play vinyl, it has to be it has to be set up right. You know, because a lot of the clubs now, a lot of the DJ boxes are made out of plywood, and the bass bins are in below it, and you go to put your needle on, and it just bounces right across the record. Whereas years ago, we would have kind of built columns, like the network had one hanging from the roof. We had like brick columns from the floor that if anybody bumped in the DJ box, the needle didn't jump. So you know, it needs to be set up right if you're going to do a vinyl night. But I've done a few in the last while, and I've got a couple coming up in 2026. So
you're still at it.
Oh God, and there's more and more people getting back into vinyl. Look, I teach in schools. That's what I do. I run a wee company called IDJ, and I'm in 5 different schools, and they do that as part of their music GCSE and digital music. And in year 11, they learn how to DJ using controller decks. They're all Pioneer DDJ RRs, and I show them how to mix on them. They record their mixes, and then I show them in year 12 how to make music, and they make their tracks, and then they come and perform with their tracks, their live tracks. So 100%. No, there's loads of them, and loads of them doing really, really well. Like the Symmetrics boys and all came from Boys Model with me. Oh aye, yeah. So So and there's two guys called Marcus and Lewis. They're Fusion that have only left school there now, and they're doing well. They're playing for Northern Ireland Trans Family. Keane McKinney. Reese Foster was doing a techno thing in the Telegraph. So it's no, it's
Well
good.
done. That's
I know
amazing.
it's brilliant because it's a skill. You know,
100%.
100% a skill, and that's kind of just what I learned as a kid on these vinyls. You know what I mean? You had no YouTubes then, or
I know.
no chitters then. You had to work it out. You had to listen to mixtapes, or catch videos, or watch, catch something on TV to learn how to
But look at
piece
the
it together.
skill that it's taught you because you went
Yeah,
to go
a hundred
dig
percent.
deeper.
Like you still get DJs playing just pure vinyl, like
Yeah.
they just do, and it's more of it has been more of an underground thing for a long time. But I think people can really see the skill in it. Like we come from a world in my era in the early '90s where it didn't really matter what you looked like. If you could DJ
I
and you
agree.
had the skills, you played at the club. You didn't have to like have beautiful skin and have 1.5 million people following you and tell them what you're eating for your dinner. So yeah, we come from a world of if you weren't good, you didn't get booked again. And that's what the ethos was. You had to be good. You had to bring your skills every time. Whereas I can teach a very young kid how to DJ now, whereas I couldn't teach them how to do it on vinyls. And that's the kind of separation, the
Yeah.
different.
But it's a good thing.
100%, as well as even, like the vinyl records. Now, music's so, you can get music anywhere. So your pocket's an absolute jukebox with Spotify and iTunes and SoundCloud and Mixcloud and all this here. So it's easier for you to find out what the tunes were, whereas I might have been able to go to London and buy a track, or go to Manchester and buy a vinyl record and maybe get like 6 months out of that before anybody else had it, because it was just like maybe like a wee test run of like 100, and that was it, and they didn't press any until the hype built on it. So the music then, people really got into those tracks a lot more, whereas now you might go to a club and hear a track and never hear it again, and that's
Exactly.
the sad thing about it. There's no shelf life with it.
Exactly. See, if I was to ask you what would be your highlight, I know you've many, or your most euphoric that you remember through those years, like was it being in a club where you played a certain tune and the reaction of the crowd, or is there just so many right across the board?
There's loads. I've been lucky. I have been really, really lucky. I got to play in Australia and Egypt and Finland and Estonia, and I still play in Ibiza. I play in the Wild Corner at High. Yeah, I've got.
Oh, no, that's right. I see.
I have. I produced music under a different alias called Jonas Blake, and some of my tracks were getting rinsed over there. So I got the opportunity to play at Wild Corner, and I've played in it a couple of times, and it's just the most amazing room in the world to play in. It's
Wow.
fantastic. So yes, I've been lucky to play around the world, but the main one was Belfast. In front of City Hall. It was New Year's Eve. Chris was on it as well, that you're going to interview here as well. Live in the Essential Selection in front of 20,000 people down Royal Avenue. People were on top of telephone boxes and up lampposts, and it was just chaos. But it was going out to 20,000 people, but it was going out to the world. So that was the most nervous I've ever.
Nothing can top it.
Shaken. So it was amazing, just the roar of that, and then knowing that it was going out around the world on New Year's Eve.
And why do you think the 90s music is still so influential? There's more and more people getting to love it, playing the tunes. Why do you think that is?
There's a couple of reasons. One of the reasons, I always believe this, in those early days, not every Tom, Dick and Harry, you can make a track on your phone now, right? So nobody had access to that unless you were going in to like a proper multi-million-pound studio back in the day. And in those studios, you had actual musicians that could write chords and melodies and stuff like that were playing that, the dance music. Whereas now, you've got people releasing tracks that aren't like, in-depth musicians. They can put a track together and get it released. But back then, the melodies and the chord structures in those songs were made by actual musicians that knew their craft and knew it inside out. Plus, and what I notice is, like, all these kids that I would teach in the schools, and there's hundreds of them, like, and they're coming in and going, "Oh, have you heard this?" And I'm going, "Well, that's just a remix of something I played in 1999 or 1981." And they're going, "No, that's brand new." You know what I mean? So they're finding out about these remixes of tracks through SoundCloud and stuff like that there. But they all believe it's brand new to them. Like, and I'm going, "No, that's from 1990." And even my son, he was going, "Ah, but that's such and such." And I went, "Well, no, that's from like 1989. What are you talking about? Like, it's just somebody's put a drum beat on it, like, you know." So it does evolve. Plus, those kids all growing up were listening to their parents playing dance music in the houses, so that doesn't leave. Because I'm amazed sometimes where there was this young girl in one of my classes the other day, and I was going, "How do you know these songs?" She says, "Well, Mum and Dad have played them for years, you know, and it's just all big old school trance bangers." And she goes, "I know," and she knows them all by name.
The school in the morning.
You know what I mean? And it's just playing in the car on the school run, and they just take it in like a sponge.
I can so relate to that, yeah.
So that's where it all comes through. But definitely some of those, and I do it myself. I would go through these vinyl records whenever I'm making stuff for the Jonas Blake project, and I would find chord structures and go, "Oh, listen, I remember that there," and I would try and copy. I hate bits and pieces.
My brother loves it.
You just need to bring your elbows out. Yeah.
Suburban Delay would be one of my favourites.
Suburban Delay is a real special one for me because I can remember the first time I ever heard it in Circus. I think it was Trevor Fung played it, and he played it. He played it twice. It was that good. He played it too early, and he played it then as the last song again. And I'll never forget that. It was amazing. The whole place was just like, "What is this song?" There's just a song has just landed here in Banbridge tonight, and it just took over. And it's still an anthem, isn't it?
Basically, thank you so much. I really am beyond grateful, and I'm so excited. As I say, one of the best DJs of my raving career. I absolutely love your music. So what is next for Gleave, Dobbin? What's next for you?
Just still making tracks as Jonas Blake. I've got a couple of Gleave remixes done that are coming out as well on different labels. I'm still playing in Thompson's. Now I'm playing all my mates' sons and daughters in Thompson's instead of my mates. And just gigs. Next year's looking busy enough. Brilliant. At 50, I'll just keep the foot down and see how far I can go.